Today I'm going to be making smoked corned beef brisket on my Pit Boss Pro Series 850. If you don't follow Mad Backyard yet, go ahead and subscribe to them. I got the recipe off of this dude, and I will tell you it is absolutely great. So I picked up a corned beef brisket from Rouse. I got a point and I got a flat. Go ahead and rinse this really well and then pat it dry it. First, let's start off with some onion powder. The reason you want to rinse it is because it has a lot of salt. You want to remove all the salt from the brine. All right, so get your onion powder, then get your mustard seasoning. And this doesn't have any sodium, just like Homeboy showed from Mad Barbecue, and he's right, because I've made it, and I've made it with too much salt before without rinsing it, and that's a bad idea. So let's get some garlic powder, and let's go ahead and season it on both sides. And I know the flat looks kind of weird. That's just the way it came in the packaging, but I assure you it is a flat. They just kind of trimmed it weird, but all good. Now let's get some black pepper. Now this is starting to look like pastrami, right? Black pepper. So it basically is pastrami, by the way. All right, guys, now that we have our black pepper pretty much ready to go on these briskets, I'm going to go ahead and go outside, take these to my Pit Boss. And what I want to do is I want to preheat it, and I'm going to set this thing to 250. So what we want to do first is start the smoking process, get some smoky flavor in there, and 250 is the right temperature. So let's get our briskets. Here I am with the point. I'm going to go ahead and put the point in first, and I like to smoke my meats on my Pit Boss on the right side. That way it's not in direct heat. And now I'm going to go get my flat, and I'm going to go ahead and put it right next to it. And we want to smoke this uncovered for about 2-3 hours, and the temperature is at 250. And we're going to go ahead and close this and keep checking on our temperatures till we reach an internal temperature of 160 or anything close to that. So right now the briskets are chilling in the smoker, and I'm going to go ahead and give this thing a little look, see here, and yeah, it still needs quite a bit of time. So let's go ahead and probe it, because we don't want to be guessing with this. We want to make sure we have the right temperature. And as I said, our finished cook time will be anywhere from 198 to 203 internal temperature. So it's been about 3 hours, and this thing's cooking really slow, which is good, but it's almost dinner time. So I'm going to go ahead and bump this thing up to 350 for a little bit, because I'm trying to reach that 160 so I can go ahead and add it to the broth. And it's pretty much close enough. 157, it'll do. So in that pot is just water, little beef broth, and coriander, and some seasoning. Now this is what the briskets will be braised in. All right, and I used a low sodium beef broth tablet. You can use a beef broth out of a little can or whatever. This is what I used. So go ahead and add both of your briskets. You don't need to preheat it or anything like that. The water, it's good how it is. So our temperature is pretty much 162 on the flat, so this one can go in as well. And we just want to make sure it's coating half of it. That's what I learned for braising this. And one mistake I did make, I will say, and I will admit to it, is I didn't cover it at this point, and I should have covered it. But nonetheless, this thing still turned out really great. I can just imagine if I would have covered it. I was doing multiple things today. I was doing a knife review, and I was doing all sorts of stuff with the kids, so my bad. But it still turned out great. So let's go ahead and keep checking on this temperature. We want to cook this thing all the way up to 198 to 203. Oh, I also made some chicken lollipops while I was there, so that was pretty fun, and they turned out great too. So let's go ahead and check this temperature now. This thing's starting to cook a lot more now. The water's quite not warm yet, but it's getting there. And we're going to check and see where we're at. So this pot is a Dutch oven, and I did have the lid for it, which I did forget to put on there, which is all right. So let's go ahead and see where we're at. Right now we're going to probe the flat and see where we're at. So let's check this temperature out at 198. Okay, well, we're pretty much close, but we're not quite where we want to be yet. I want to pull this one at 203. There we go. So few minutes later, this thing got to 203. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull it off. And I'm gonna go ahead, put it on my cutting board and let it rest for a little while. And then we're gonna start carving this flat. All right, this thing smelled so delicious. All right, so now that it's rested for a little while, I'm gonna go ahead and pull out my Kyoku knife. And this is just a steak knife. I have other knives and I have a full review. Go ahead and click on this little tab on the top, which is Kyoku knives, and you guys can check out that full review. But for now, let's start slicing into this meat. This brisket is looking quite delicious. It's nice and pink, just like a corned beef should. All right, and it's smoky. It is juicy, and I know that comparing to a regular beef brisket, it's not as juicy, but it's still pretty close. It has enough juice for what we were trying to do. This is more like a roast, if you ask me. It's not really pull apart shredding in some areas, so there's still a little juice in there. It honestly was great. We're gonna go ahead and try the flat of this brisket. Damn, that's money. Do you like that?
Yeah.
Dude, that's juicy. Look at that juice. Next, we're gonna try the point, which is the even fattier side, even better side. Using Kyoku knives today, I do have a full review. Be very careful with these knives. I already cut my thumb. You put some lemon pepper?
Yeah.
Try it. Is it good?
Yeah.
As you can see, we're both very satisfied how this corned beef brisket turned out. I'm gonna go ahead and slice the rest of this and put it to the side. And now I'm gonna go ahead and get my point, and let's pull this thing off the smoker. So this thing is all braised up. It's getting that nice color. It had a very great bark because I didn't cover it, and it still remained pretty juicy. So like I said, I'm very happy with it. I know the only thing I would change with this video and this recipe would be to cover it for a little bit longer. So let's go ahead and slice into this point. Ooh, just admiring it from a distance, how juicy and delicious this thing looks. And I'm using the chef's knife from Kyoku, and this thing is razor sharp. I had a lot of fun using this knife, by the way. It met all of my needs, especially for this video and making this brisket. But yeah, check it out. This one's a lot juicier than the flat. I'm gonna give it a nice squeeze. If you don't like it, I don't care. Some people don't like squeezing meat. I like to squeeze meat. Oh! All right, guys, our point is all done. We're gonna do the pull apart test. Now we're gonna try it out. Let's give it a try. That's good.
Cooking and chicken, Daddy? Oh.
We're gonna try a pull apart. Nice and tender. Right there, man?
Yep.
You liked it?
Yep.
A little different, right? All in all, this brisket was really good. It was really delicious. I'm glad I followed Mad Backyard's recipe. But if you're trying to look for a recipe that is going to be a little bit more tender, I suggest that you watch my beef brisket video. I smoked the brisket for 24 hours and that was super juicy. So check it out next.